On today's show, we meet up with a talented Chinese American playwright, producer, director, and actor who shares his journey from his humble roots in San Diego to helping lead the most prestigious Asian American theater company in the US. Then we're off to the San Diego Opera to meet the first Asian and Pacific Islander lead cast in a production of Romeo and Juliet. That and much more coming up next on Asian Pacific Voices. From his early roots being exposed to the theater at a young age, Andy Lo has pursued his passion for writing, directing, producing, and even acting for the stage nearly his entire life. Now, as the director of production and casting for East West Players, the nation's premier Asian American theater company based in Los Angeles, Andy shares his insights growing up as the outsider and his advocacy efforts for cultivating narratives that accurately reflect our historically marginalized and often stereotyped roles depicting Asian Americans on stage and in films.
I was born in San Diego. I grew up there. Back in those days, this is like the early '80s in San Diego. We were always kind of like the one Chinese family in like suburban America. My sister actually was the president of the first Asian American theater company in San Diego called the Pacific Asian Actors Ensemble, and they were kind of the first company in San Diego doing this representation work. There, they were working out of the old Marquis Theater on India Street, and some of my earliest memories actually were being babysat backstage while my sister is in rehearsals for a production of Fresh Off the Boat by David Henry Hwang. That was kind of like the first like seed where I could kind of start to see things, or rather the effect that theater and storytelling could have. As I was really kind of trying to figure out what was going on identity-wise, being the one Asian for 18 years, and really trying to come up with language to understand what that experience was, how that affected my self-worth, how that affected kind of my identity. Knowing that there were Asian American playwrights and Asian American literature out there, but having no access because not a single library carried, a play by Phil Kangatanda or a work by Elizabeth Wong or, any of that. So in lieu of that, actually, I started reading up on Chicano theater. I got really into the works of Luis Valdez. And, of course, the Actos and that whole movement was so rooted in protest of the idea of using theater or theater of the oppressed, Augusto Boal, all these artists who were able to use narrative as a tool towards activism, towards social change. And so that was the thing of then the the most important thing that I can do is work with narrative, understand how narrative influences everything from marketing to politics to entertainment and also just culture. I wrote a play called The Cultural Hyphen, which I submitted to the California Young Playwrights Project. And of course, California Young Playwrights Project is an amazing program based in San Diego. They run a statewide playwriting contest. And at the time, the finalists, the winners of the contest, would win production of their work on a professional stage at the Old Globe Theater. That was something that I had submitted to and saw production of my play, The Cultural Hyphen, back in 1994 on the Cassius Carter stage at the Old Globe. That was very impactful because I was physically there watching my words and watching storytelling impact, right? And I'm like, this is the most Asian Americans that have been on the Globe stage ever at that point in 1994. And so that when I shifted in terms of how can I create space for Asian American artists. And so it's like, now we were founding the Asian American Repertory Theater and trying to create space for Asian American artists in San Diego.
He's already proven himself a menace in the Jade Palace, and this one, he'll starve us all.
So I was artistic director for Asian American Rep for about 10 years. I ran the company from 1995 through 2005. Things just got very difficult, and of course I never got a salary for running that company, and I basically had to make a decision, and I stopped working with that company that I had founded. Went independent for a while, was running things as Chinese Private Productions. I did a kind of a massive musical that I directed and adapted, a stage adaptation of Dr. Horrible Sing-Along Blog that I produced alongside Comic-Con. We got a lot of really good press because we were at Comic-Con. We had people coming from as far as New Zealand or the UK to come see this. That was around 2012 when I started getting very frustrated because after working in San Diego for all of those years, every theater in San Diego inviting me to speak on panels to talk about diversity, inclusion, about Asian American representation, but no one was willing to hire me as a director. So East West Players is the longest running theater of color in the nation. It is also the oldest Asian American theater or professional producer of Asian American work in the nation. At that time, my predecessor, Meg Imamoto, was also looking to retire. This job happened to pop up, and they need someone who knows how to do everything, from marketing to producing to directing, and design. And really, it really just was kismet. So East West Players was founded in 1965 by, I believe, about 9 Asian American artists who, very much like me, hit a point where they were kind of frustrated with the opportunities that the industry offered them. So you had folks, and these are legacy artists, right? Mako, Ray Creevy, Yet Locke, Jun K. Liu, James Hong, who's still acting into his 90s. They were here in Hollywood, and they wanted to work more. And of course, that's 1965. They're getting, kind of houseboys and geishas and, other very stereotypical roles. So for them, it was, can we do work, where we can play leads, where we can actually use our craft, right? Beyond these kind of stereotypical roles. They were very big on training. And they were very big on not only doing classics, because they do Chekhov and Ibsen and all that, but they would also did a lot of kind of development of new playwrights, because they were very much big into this idea of, if we want to be able to perform three-dimensional roles, we need three-dimensional stories that show us in three-dimensional ways. A lot of it is still a lot of the work that I've been doing, honestly, my whole life. It's about creating space. And creative safe spaces, right? I mean, we often like to say roughly about 70% of the Asian American actors that you see on television, film, or on Broadway stages cut their teeth here at East West. It's a lot of different things, right? It's that we are producing our main stage productions, which create space for actors. It's that we're doing new works development with playwrights. But we also have our acting classes, our kind of conservatory, as well as our writers program, our David Henry Hwang Writers Institute. it's all about opportunity. Not even just opportunity in terms of where can I work, but where can I even have opportunity to audition? If the Asian American actress is only able to audition for various productions of Miss Saigon and King and I, then there's no diversity to that resume. They don't get the stage time. They don't get the time to polish. So in terms of the work that we do at Ace West, you know, when I can see the effect that it has on an actor or an actress's life after doing a show here, after being able to play an ingenue lead in an all-Asian American production of Mamma Mia, or, you know, a new work, you know, here on East West Players stage, but it's a lead role, and adding diversity to that resume, and that alone affects what they're able to audition for. You know, this past year, there were 5 actors who would cut their teeth here at East West Players who made their Broadway debuts. That's a big deal, right? There's an actress who I cast in Man of God who has been filming on and off with Nicole Kidman. And so when I can see that direct line of the stuff that the work that I'm doing here with East West and the opportunities I'm able to provide and how that acts as a springboard, that's something that, you know, I look back on my own career and how little opportunities I have had to direct, or, you know, all of those years when I was acting and all I was booking was Triad Kung Fu Henchmen, and this is the most important stuff that I can do with my skill set, but the things I know, and that's important. I'm Andy Lo, and this is my voice.
When you think of opera, what traditionally comes to mind? Elite European culture and music sung in languages often not well understood? Well, meet the superstars leading San Diego Opera's new production of Romeo and Juliet. One is Pacific Islander tenor, and his beautiful leading lady is a proud mix of Korean and African American cultures. Together, they form an unstoppable powerhouse of talent that is taking audiences by storm. As the first API talent, leading a cast in the distinguished roles of Romeo and Juliet. This marks a milestone in bringing such cultural diversity to the operatic stage in San Diego for the first time, and most importantly, showing how opera is evolving to transcend cultural and language boundaries for everyone to now enjoy.
If you've never been to an opera and you're curious about going and you wonder whether or not you can understand the plot or the story, my first question to you is, have you ever seen a foreign movie with subtitles? We do the same thing at opera. We have what's called super titles, and that is a sort of a running screen above the stage, and the translation's right there for you to see. So everybody can understand what's going on. You get quite used to it quite fast, and then you have this incredible added experience of a live performance. I grew up in Ventura, California, and I am of Korean, Black, and white descent. I am really the first one in my family to pursue singing, certainly, as a career, but I'm also the first person in my family that really concentrated in classical music in general. So I'd have to say all of my family members have been on the ride with me through this really exciting and unusual journey.
what really got me into opera was my love for harmony, and I was in the choral. I was singing in the choir back in high school, and I was playing rugby at the time. You're kind of forced. If you played rugby, you had to sing in the choir. It was part of the curriculum. And I loved the harmony. I loved the discipline of classical music. And my high school teacher said, you should pursue solo singing, which I thought was the most ridiculous idea. I thought, who the hell pursue singing? But upon going for it and upon learning more about it, I learned more about the voice, learned more about the music, and just fell in love with it like that. I will acknowledge that I have put in a lot of hard work for this. I put in a lot of years of studying, turning away things that I shouldn't be singing, and just making the right choices. So by the time I hit the stage, I feel like I timed it correctly. So to be given this honor of this acknowledgement of being one of the most sought out tenors is very nerve-wracking, but I feel like I'm ready for it rather than sitting back saying, oh, maybe in a few years' time.
Well, in 2006, I was at Deutsche Oper in Berlin, and I was singing Idomeneo, a Mozart opera, and I got a call to replace somebody in Romeo et Juliet, the same opera that I'm singing in San Diego. So that was a very last-minute thing. And the same exact experience happened here. I got a call just a couple weeks before rehearsals began here in San Diego, letting me know that unfortunately the soprano had to withdraw. And because I had sung this production before in 2019, it was sort of in my blood. So it was an easy yes, and I'm so happy I was able to join San Diego Opera.
I love many aspects about directing opera. You know, I'm of course behind the scenes, so everyone sees the singers, but I always say that everything that anyone sees on stage has my vision or my hand and touch on. So I do love the music first and foremost. There's something so visceral about live performance. Simultaneously, I love the visual aspect of it. It's highly grand, and it's a big spectacle. There's something so amazing about the sound, but also the amount of energy and the beautiful, you know, scenic and costume designs that one sees on the stage. And I am motivated by the people that I work with. Simultaneously, as one of the few Asian American opera directors, I'm motivated, I think, by a passion to create access and to build bridges for the next generation to be able to walk into this art form that I think has really maybe not allowed as many BIPOC artists to participate in this beautiful medium.
It's daunting because the tenor voice is one of the most prone, it's one of the most loved voices, if not the most loved voice. And everyone, it's the one that has the most vulnerability. If you get something wrong, people will know. You crack and people laugh and you're gone, really. And so there's a whole bunch of nerves. There's a daunting feeling when you're on stage leading the show, and especially in something like this, Romeo and Juliet.
I'm originally from Daegu, Korea, but I live in Italy and perform mainly in Italy. I think opera is love. Love contains many things, like happiness, sadness, anger, and success and failure, and emotion. Opera has all of these things. I believe this is my first time performing with Asian American performers. The experience has been great. They seem to have delicate and pure approach to their work.
It's really wonderful to be involved in a production with many people who are both of Asian and Pacific Island descent, particularly my Romeo, who is Pacific Islander, and Matthew Ozawa, our conductor, who's of Asian descent. Of course, you have a connection with people who share a similar background as you. And in the case of Romeo, this is just wonderful because we feel like when we're on stage, we make an immediate connection as people. We kind of automatically understand each other. And this is the unspoken connection that Romeo et Juliet in French, of course, the operas in French, have with each other. So this just extra subtext, an extra layer to our understanding as people that contribute to our understanding as artists.
If I could say something to the Pacific Islanders who want to pursue this, I would absolutely say perseverance is the goal. Hard work is the key. And in fact, although there's hardly any of us on this playing field, that's what makes it even more exciting to take on the challenge, because you can be the trendsetter. Instead of following into someone else's shoes, you're the one setting the path for the future opera singers to take on that challenge. I will say that the Pacific Islanders have a gift that they don't know, and I stand by my saying that if you discovered me now amongst the pool of talent, I don't think you'd never hear of me. There's a lot of singers. I was just lucky to get out first.
I believe just representing as a person of Asian and Pacific Island descent, representing yourself on stage as an artist is an inspiration in and of itself. You're a role model by existing. So I think it's very important for opera companies and recital presenters and symphonies to continue hiring Asian American and Pacific Islander singers, simply to inspire the communities that exist that want to learn about this art form and to participate. If I were to change one thing in the world of opera, it would simply be the hesitancy to change. And that is actually changing, so maybe my wish is coming true. And what I mean by that is to move into the modern age by continuing to add new music, new operas to the repertoire, to continue to hire people from diverse communities in not only leading roles in opera, but behind the scenes and conducting and coaching positions. This, fortunately, I think is starting really in the last couple of years, especially, to go in the right direction. But it's an old art form, so it's just going to take a little while. We have to keep pushing towards progress. I am Nicole Cabell. This is my voice.
Thanks for watching today's show, and be sure to check out all our other episodes and past seasons of our program on our YouTube channel. I'm Kathleen Choi, and I'll see you next time on Asian Pacific Voices. This program was made possible in part by the California Arts Council.